Paris, wake up. Come on. We gotta start season 10. Come on, wake up. Gotta get out of the cave.
Oh, God, I'm cozy in here. I've got food.
I don't care. You gotta come out. We have to do it. We said we'd do season 10, and I know you've been in there for a while. Shit is weird out here. I kind of need your help.
Doesn't look good out there, Chris. I don't know. How are you going to get me out of this cave?
It does. Well, I can't offer you any enticing prospects, honestly. Trump's back. So, we got that going for us. Elon might also be co-president at the same time. He owns Twitter. Everyone's on Blue Sky now.
This is worse than last time. Can I just say this is worse than last time?
It is worse than last time. I cannot offer you any consolation aside from the fact that we must offer consolation to the patrons and listeners. It's our duty to trudge through these terrible books again, so that other people can laugh and point at us as we suffer.
I just feel like we're stuck in a loop. This already happened. When TBC came back, this is how we came back. This is what happened before. I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
Chris, join me. Join me. Go back into your coma. Join me in bliss.
Actually, that
in the coma
really
cave.
Okay, how am I getting back into the coma, though?
Well, I don't know. There are many ways.
What if I got hit by a car?
Yeah.
I think that's the hot thing to do.
Yeah,
right
it
now.
is, actually. Yeah, getting hit by cars is the hot thing to do. Join me. Stand in the road.
Well, there's the traffic right there. Are you ready? We're going to walk into it.
Right.
Just like we do with books. We're just walking into book traffic.
Walking into book traffic.
All right, are you ready, Paris? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ow.
Do the trashy pulp novels of the world have anything to offer? Are bestsellers all they're cracked up to be? Here at Terrible Book Club, we explore whether you really can judge a book by its cover, or its ridiculous synopsis. You ever passed a book and thought, ugh, who's reading this? We probably are.
Hello and welcome to episode 209 of the Terrible Book Club. I'm Chris, and this is Paris.
Hello.
This time, glorious listeners and patrons, we read Maradonia! Maradonia! And the Guardians of the Portal by Sofia Nova. We know
it's
Gloria. What's really going on
it's
here.
It's Gloria Tesch again. She came back. Somehow Maradonia came back again. Again, we are stuck in a fucking time loop, Chris. We've already done this so many times. Why do things keep happening?
It's aggravating,
again?
Really.
I hate this.
It was, we in some ways, we are obligated to read this by all of you shouting at us from the comment section.
Do you know how many messages we got? So many.
We know. Here it is. We're doing it for you. Okay. Sorry, Gloria. I know maybe we're sort of like the monkey on your back here, but like they all wanted it.
No,
and honestly, I kind of wanted it a little bit too.
I'm not sorry. She decided to do this again as an adult. What is she,
That's
our age,
true.
roughly? I forget if
Probably.
she's around our age or younger, but an adult enough to know better than to republish.
Maybe you could do it again. Maybe you could rework it. Spoilers, she didn't really rework it to the point that it was better.
Right.
Okay,
if there had been an attempt, I'd be fine with it, but this, I don't know why you would do this.
There was an attempt. There was an attempt to make it better, but we'll get into that. If this is your first time listening to this show, what we do here at the Terrible Book Club is read books that we assume will be bad based on their cover, title, summary, or history of it being a terrible book series before. Or some combination of all of those. Sometimes we read books that our patrons, listeners, friends, people on the street, animals recommend to us.
Oh, okay, I don't know
So
about
we do
that.
the opposite of what most people do in a bookstore or while they're browsing the internet. Usually this experiment results in a disappointing read, but once in a while we end up liking the book
It's true. If in terms of animals, you did have a wayward creature bring a book to your house. One of Terriblo's servants did show up.
Yes, there was
door.
a minion that left a quote unquote gift in my door. That in some ways I was glad for, in other ways I wasn't glad for. So, it's really a mixed bag of emotions.
I gotta say, props to patrons and listeners who, decided you would send a physical person to one of our homes with a book. It's a new level of devotion.
Not gonna lie on that one's a little spooky, but in some ways that is what we asked for directly in the messages.
Terriblo works in mysterious ways. I don't question our Dark Lord. It's fine.
In addition to our usual barnyard language that you've already been kind of experiencing, today's episode includes fantasy, violence, and nonsense, and that's about it. Kudos to Gloria here for not including some of the heinous shit that we have to deal with in a lot of other books. So
that is fair.
At least that. Okay. So now we are going to read, or I am going to read, the back of the book / Amazon summary for Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal. Siblings Maya and Joey are forced to embark on a perilous journey when they are shipwrecked off the coast of Maradonia. After encountering fierce warrior mermaids, the siblings find out that their only way home is through a teleportation portal, which doesn't work. If they want to get home, the siblings realize they must join the mermaids and find a way to revitalize the portal before it falls into the wrong hands, even though it's broken. Just when all seems to go smoothly, a United States military expedition arrives on the shores of Maradonia and begins their own search for the portal. To make matters even worse, the Dark Realm declares war on the mermaids. Fighting one enemy is bad enough, but contending with two invasive opponents may prove too much for the mermaids.
Wait, why is the U.S. military I feel like...
Oh, we'll get to that, don't worry.
All right.
In Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal, Maya and Joey are in far more trouble than they ever imagined. The ultimate battle for control of the universe.
Oh, all right. This has spun wildly out of control since we last were in Maradonia.
Oh, yeah, so don't worry, Paris. When we get into things here, I'm sure you will have many questions.
We should remind people that we're doing a different approach this season.
Yes, the format has changed again because I just don't like to have things stay the same. I need change. And this year, I kind of wanted to focus a little bit more on just sort of like raw reactions. I think Paris and I have a lot more fun talking to each other when we are reading a book and sort of like having a little conversation. I want to bring that into the podcast a little bit more. So I wanted one member to go in blind somewhat. So this time, only I read Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal. Paris did not. Now, before we had a summary that we wrote to summarize the events of the book so the listeners could follow along. We've basically spun that out a little bit more so that the majority of the episode is probably going to be the summary that the person who wrote or read the book and then wrote will speak to the listener, the person that didn't read the book, and we will just see what happens from there. Feel free to stop me at any moment mid-flow, Paris. I will have some breakpoints to ask you a question or a query or perhaps a fun little game or something like that. And we are still doing the rubric, but at the end, and I think that'll be a little bit quicker in comparison to how we went through the rubric last year.
Yeah, and if
we'll
you
still have some readings peppered throughout. Those might be in the summary. They might appear in the rubric. We're just going to see what happens here. A little chaos mode this season.
Yeah, and if you watched the 200th anniversary special, or 200th episode, 200th anniversary.
Has the time loop been going that long, Paris?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The 200th episode special, the live video we did on Twitch, we tested out this format when Chris really just jumped in front of the Mack truck of books and read Fourth Wing by himself and then explained it to me. And we actually got a lot of positive feedback about that, so we decided, fuck it, let's try season 10 this way and see how it goes. Also, it means we each read half as many books, which is pretty great for work-life podcast balance. So.
Yeah, I will say that does ease things a little bit.
Yeah, as a reminder, we both have like regular full-time jobs, bands, lives to lead outside of this podcast. We don't get paid for this except for, donations from patrons to just pay expenses. So like
Yeah, we're not rolling in the cash over here.
Well, we're not rolling in cash. We're also not rolling in like free time is the point. So
Yes.
after embarking on almost a decade of this, we sort of were like, what can we do to make this more sustainable so we can continue providing this content to people in perhaps the darkest part of the timeline in all of our lives? So,
This time loop just keeps getting worse, honestly. All right, Paris, I am going to give you our characters and setting, and then we will embark upon my quite lengthy summary of Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal.
Should we remind the uninitiated that we've done 3 other Maradonia episodes if they are interested in brushing up on Maradonia lore? This is like, if you haven't heard about this is a sort of a legendary bad book on the internet. There's a bunch of antics the family did to try to make it seem popular. When was this? Like Harry Potter times or right after that or something?
Around then? Sure.
Yeah. So anyway, this is, again, sort of a legendary bad book series and family surrounding it. So if you're interested in learning more about this, you can go back and listen to those, I think, other 3 episodes. I don't have the numbers on hand, but you're smart. You have the internet. You can find it.
Yeah, you can just type in Maradonia Terrible Book Club, and I'm sure they'll come up.
I'm sure. Do you want to explain that this is like an alternate reality version of the original?
It's a reboot.
Books? Yeah,
it's a reboot, which, when we last left Maya and Joey in the original version of Maradonia, they fucking died.
Yeah, they were just dead.
So I was excited to find out how they came back to life, but since this is a reboot, that version of Maya and Joey just fucking died. That's the canonical ending to the original Maradonia, is the ultimate rug pull, I should say, of the hero's journey of, like, sometimes you just get fucking poisoned and roasted alive.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta say,
because you were stupid idiots.
That's a great ending. Like, I am saying this with all seriousness. I love when authors have like enough courage to just kill off characters and be like, no, there's no happy ending. Sometimes you just fucking die, like Quentin, roasted, crispy Quentin. Anyway, off we go. Chris, tell us about our characters and setting in this alternate reality Maradonia to go along with the alternate timeline we've slipped into yet again.
Okay, here we go. Well, of course, we've got Maya and Joey. Swanson is their last name this time. I forget what their last names were before.
I don't remember if that was their last name last time.
They're Swansons now, okay?
Right,
so this is the alternate Maya
family
and Joey
dinner,
Swanson.
The Swanson microwavable Joey and Maya. Delicious.
The heirs to the fortune. This time we have King Palazar and his sons Pluton and Abaddon. Pluton and Abaddon were still the king's sons from the original Maradonia series. The name of the evil king has been changed to Palazar this time.
What was it before?
So, I don't even care, man. But this time it's Palazar. He's palling around with everyone. We have some members of the United States military, like Secretary of Defense Joanna Johnson, General Stanton, Admiral Wells, and Dr. Huang, who is a quantum physicist that works for the Pentagon for some reason.
All right.
We also have his son, Gordon Huang, who is a quantum physics whiz kid.
Okay.
We have Oraculus and Bubba. Oraculus being a prophet man. Used to be a frog in the original Maradonia. Now he's a man, like in the movie, because they couldn't get a frog to talk in the movie, obviously. So they just did a dude. I guess he's a dude in this version as well. And he's got his pet monkey, Bubba or Booba. It's Bubah. So however you want me to say that, Paris.
It's Bubba.
Bubba is. Okay, it's Bubba the monkey getting up to antics.
Oh, boy.
We have Andromeda, Lilith, and Mui, the fairy witches.
No.
You remember those 3 ladies in the Maradonia movie that were like, we are the fairy witches. Taste our powers.
Our powers, I think is how it was
It's them. They're back. They're back.
We should remind people that if you want to watch that whole movie with us, it's on our Patreon. So enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's still there.
Yeah. Well, those characters are here. We also have Aqua Marisha, Queen of the Mermaids. We have Morgana, Aquamarisha's daughter. And then we have Persolia, Crystalline, and Amila, warrior mermaids that are among the mermaid people. And then there's some generic, like, evil, baddie orcs and trolls that maybe get named, but are, like, in a couple of paragraphs that I don't think deserve to be listed in certain, not in the characters and setting here. The setting is off the coast of the United States on an island that is simultaneously called Husario, Husario,
Okay. Right.
but it's also Maradonia. But Maradonia is also 7 kingdoms that are linked by I have a problem with this that we'll get into, but anyway, we're on the island of Husario.
Question.
Is like the main.
Is there a map? Because they always had maps. Is there a map in this one?
There is no map.
Oh, man. She fucking didn't even do a map? What a terrible reboot. Now I'm upset.
There are many reused illustrations from the original series peppered throughout.
She did that with the other ones, too, where she reused illustrations from previous books and stuff. Oh.
There may be some new illustrations in there. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't feel like going back through the old copies of books I don't even know where the hard copies are anymore for me to like cross-reference that. So, there's illustrations. I definitely recognize some of them. I think some of them were even from the Mermaid book that Gloria did as Sofia Nova way back when. So like just recycling as much.
It's so odd that she's now combining the properties, because when she did the Mermaid book as Sofia Nova, I was like, oh, she's trying to escape her past as Gloria Tesch, and now she's like, nah, fuck it. I'm just scramming them together again. It's like, why? You had a chance.
I'm not sure. So I am going to start with my summary of Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal. So this will be, again, much longer form here. So Paris, at any point, if you feel the need to interrupt for whatever reason, feel free to do so, because I'm just going to keep going until either I stop to ask you something or you interrupt me. So
okay, I gotta say, it is fantastic to be able to sit here and listen to the content of this book without having to have read it. So thank you, Chris, for volunteering to do Maradonia again.
Okay, here we go. So there's a mermaid in a lake at night. I'm just going to read the prologue to you here, Paris.
Wait, isn't that how the mermaid book opens?
Yep. You're right.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm just going to hit you with the prologue here. It's relatively short. The moon's aura glowed brightly, forming a wide, eerie circle of light that illuminated everything below it. Captured by the moonlight, a silhouette of a woman took shape, sitting on a rock by the water's edge. The mysterious woman had alabaster skin, the identical color of the moon. Her wet hair sparkled with moisture, and her turquoise eyes glinted with energy as she watched the ocean.
Please hold. The moon is not alabaster, by the way. The moon, we all know, is like gray. It's not white. Like the light reflected off of it often appears white, but...
Okay,
bad way to write that. Bad way to write
actually here.
Pedantry.
You're going to have a lot more.
Is the game, and I am the master.
Waves crashed against the jagged rocks, throwing cascades of seawater high into the air around her. She took a deep breath of the crisp air before speaking into the wind. The world is changing. There are forces that lust for more power.
Wait, is she just monologuing at no one at the lake?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the prologue. The wind howled. Somewhere in the depths of the forest behind her, drums began to beat. Much has been given to the world, the woman continued, yet it wants much more. Nations against nations. Soon, unseen kingdoms will be pulled into the final conflict. The woman lifted her arms heavensward. On the horizon, dark clouds began to form, staining the immaculate sky. Lightning flashed, followed by the rumble of thunder. The sounds of nature all joined the bellowing of tribal drums, building to a crescendo. She threw back her head and cried, "The prophecy has yet to be fulfilled!" A whiteness grew across her eyes, consuming the turquoise. Her voice rose in power, matching the intensity of the storm building all around her. It has been foretold in our greatest time of need, two will come, to unite, to redeem, to encourage.
Oh,
they will face 7 challenges, and if they survive, will prove themselves worthy. As soon as these words were spoken, the drum stopped. The woman dove off the rocks and into the icy waters of the sea. Far out to sea, too far for human legs to have propelled her so swiftly, the woman reemerged, her glistening head lifted above the roaring waves. And now, she cried into the storm, the real battle begins. As heavy rain began to fall, the woman's head sank beneath the churning waters. A huge splash erupted as her fishtail slapped against the water.
Okay, so one, I don't know, like, sounds kind of fun if I could just sit on a rock and, like, prophesize and, like, have, drums behind me.
Before you go too deep, Paris, my first break/query for you is here, which is please justify a scenario in which making a speech to no one in particular at a lake at night is sane and normal. So it sounds like you're about to do that. I don't think
it's particularly insane. I mean, I think if you're doing it, it's just, like, for yourself because it's fun. You know, it's like when I was a little kid and thought I could control the wind, it's fun stuff. Like,
can you speak more on that? You could control the wind.
So when I was a little kid, when I first got like rollerblades, I was in like grade school. I was pretty little.
Okay.
I don't know. I was just like rollerblading a lot and it was a really windy day. And I was rollerblading and, like, put my hands up, and, like, then the wind got, like, crazier, and I was like, oh my god, I can control the wind. And then, like, coincidentally, a few more times when I, like, moved my arms, it sort of matched, like, what the wind was doing, so I thought I could control the wind for an afternoon.
Solid evidence.
So, like, a child being like, yeah, I'm on this rock, but, like, an adult woman, like, talking to, what's the point of announcing a prophecy to
adult
no
mermaid.
one? Sorry?
Well, I mean, she's got a backing band happening. The drums are
my
popping
question.
Off over there.
So does she just have this band at all times on land and they have like a beacon and they gotta like make sure they're in place to like get the drums going whenever she's like ready to prophesize? Like, what?
Tonight's the night, one time only show over at Lake Maradonia. Check out the tribal drums in my prophesizing. It's a 30-second show.
I like that it's tribal drums.
If it's not a kick and a snare drum, it's tribal. That's the rules.
Yeah, that's it. If there's no rock drum set, it's tribal. All right, well, that's already stupid. Continue.
Okay, now we can get into the real shit here, Paris.
Great.
Because we're done with whatever the hell that was. So it's time to join Maya and Joey, who aren't dead because this is a reboot, as we mentioned before. None of our previous Maradonia lore matters at all. So just wipe the slate clean. They're on a boat with Captain Hazelton and his assistant of some kind, Clayton.
Wait, why are they on a boat?
It's wicked stormy out. They're on a boat. I don't know. They're on a boat.
Okay.
With blue and green lightning happening. Maya is scared and on the phone with her parents who are like, nah, you're fine, even though the water is actively pouring into the vessel.
Wait, so it's like lightning out and she's like, I know, I'm going to make a cellular phone call on the water. All right.
Yes.
That's
yes.
Good.
And the whole time the parents are like, you're cool. See you later. Joey says they're going to be fine because he's got knives, a flashlight, and their grandpa's compass. So don't sweat it. Everything's cool.
Yeah, those all fight against water very effectively, I hear.
The call gets dropped and the parents don't try to call back.
Sorry.
Maya goes outside and Clayton has to take a barrel to the chest to save her and is thrown overboard. When Maya and Joey realize they're in trouble...
Are there barrels on this...
Loose barrels.
Wait, they have a cell phone? But there's like barrels on a ship? Okay.
Not tied down at all, just like floating around... Donkey Kong style. All right, when Maya and Joey realize they're in trouble, they go find Gordon Huang, who is doing computer stuff in some room on the ship. He's all excited and saying stuff like, I'm so close and we finally found it in my life's work and blah, blah, blah.
Wait a second. So there's no explanation given for why Maya and Joey, two teenagers, are on this like research vessel?
Okay, later on in the story.
Oh, you find out later on.
We find out later. I can tell you why now, because it's not like...
Is it like a Tarantinoing situation?
No, not at all. Not.
Oh.
So later on, Gordon brings up the fact that like Maya and Joey are like students of his of some kind. It is not elaborated upon whatsoever why, like, a quantum physics whiz kid takes on Maya and Joey Fucko from the suburbs, who at no point at all is Maya or Joey involved in, like, scientific research or classes. There is a class that is mentioned many times throughout this book, and it's Joey's leadership course that he took. He's always like reciting quotes in his head about, like, the leadership course that I took said that a true leader does this, or, like, doesn't shit his pants and cry and run away, or
okay.
He's always like quoting his leadership course, but that's the only schooling that I'm aware of that is happening. So beats me as to why Gordon Huang here took Maya and Joey on as his quantum physics students.
Okay, thank you for that, for no extra detail. Please continue.
Okay. Anyway, so they go find Gordon Huang, who's on his computer, and is like, my life's work, blah, blah, blah. Maya drags him out to the lifeboats to find the rest of the crew, who have tossed a bunch of cargo overboard, and we're jumping into the last lifeboat, which is already in the ocean and floating away.
Sorry, that's pretty funny. Wait, but you don't want to leave the physicists? Like,
no, they're to fuck them, man.
All right.
Also, fuck those Maya and Joey kids, because no one, honestly, it's like the parents don't care, the crew doesn't care. I think everyone was just like, leave them on the boat, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine, they'll be all right. They've got knives, a compass, and whatever, right?
A flashlight.
Like, it's fine.
That's all you
flashlight,
need.
Flashlight, yeah, they'll be fine.
Joey pushes a scaredy cat Gordon overboard and drags Maya over with him as well. Gordon gets to a lifeboat. Maya and Joey are left behind because fuck them. Maya sees Clayton screaming for help, but he's dragged under the waves by something. She finds a piece of driftwood to latch onto and passes out, but not before seeing a strange green and blue light under the waves and hearing some voices calling out to her.
So we got a half a Titanic happening here.
Yes. All right, smash cut to the Pentagon.
Oh, wow, all right.
Joanna Johnson has called a meeting between her, General Stanton, who has to be out of this meeting quickly because he apparently has to help pass, quote-unquote, the budget in Congress.
Why would a Pentagon general have anything to do with passing the budget? That's not how the U.S. government works. You know, you have to be a billionaire from another country who's a social media tycoon to pass anything in this Congress.
That's true. We also have Admiral Wells and Dr. Huang, a quantum physicist, who, yes, is Gordon's dad. Huang is sad because he thinks Gordon is dead because they received word that the boat went down or whatever.
Right.
But the meeting is about the fact that Gordon's work has confirmed the existence of portals. The general and the admiral... Do you have something to say here?
But the ship went down before they got to anything, right?
Gordon, like, transmitted some data, I'm guessing, is what happened.
All right, fine. Okay.
The general and the admiral usually laugh at Dr. Huang's work because it's all like woo-woo shit like portals. But Joanna defends him.
Quantum physics is real. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
But portals, not so much.
Yeah, we're working on it.
SecDef Joanna Johnson defends but Dr. Huang, especially now that they've confirmed the actual portals. I don't know how they did, but I'm just rolling with what the book is saying here. The general and admiral are excited about defense implications, while Joanna counters with, think of the humanitarian benefits. That's the Secretary of Defense talking. They receive a message that Gordon is actually alive, and they plan to check out the area where the ship he was on went down. Back to Maya, who's waking up on a beach to find Clayton's mauled dead body next to her.
Okay.
Joey is nearby with a makeshift spear. They hear a noise.
He's add to his collection of knives and flashlights and compasses.
They hear a noise and Joey wants to go after it, but Maya is scared. Joey thinks about how a good leader thinks of other people's feelings besides themselves and is grateful that he took a leadership skills elective. This is a major theme throughout the book, as I have said.
This is like, what were those classes? I took them in school. It wasn't like part of school. It was like this extra class you would take, and they taught you like how to balance a checkbook, like civics and voting. It was actually pretty useful, but there were also like leadership portions.
I never took that shit, so I don't know anything about that.
I'll have to remember what it was called anyway.
Future Chris cutting in here to say the program Paris couldn't remember the name of was Junior Achievement, a program founded in Massachusetts but now a global operation. It teaches children financial literacy, business basics, work readiness, and other real-world skills related to becoming an adult. Maybe that's what Joey was taking. Okay, so they find some bananas and coconuts and fish to eat instead. Maya is in a better mood, so they go exploring since the laptops and phones they have are all dead or have no service. They find a cave and go in. There's a lot of sleeping bats in there, as well as a carved mermaid figure set with jewels.
Oh my god, this is like she's combining the mermaid book and Maradonia and just mashing things together. Okay.
Joey frees the mermaid figure from the rock formation it was set into, and the whole cave shakes and rocks fall. And they almost die, but they don't. So the D&D trope almost happened there. But Maya freaks out and tells Joey to put the figure back. He does, and the cave quake stops.
Okay, that's funny. Like, it just stops when they put it back.
Yeah. They spy a small opening at the top of the cave that they can crawl through, and Joey hears bats coming, so they crawl through and are swarmed by the bats also flying through the little tunnel, and they pop out into rolling hills. Then a monkey steals Grandpa's compass, causing Maya and Joey to give chase.
Okay. Just Pink Panther shit right after they almost die. All right. Cool.
Turns out some ravens were spying on Maya and Joey, and they fly off to snitch to the three fairy witches, Andromeda, Lilith, and Mui. It's a big deal that M-U-I is, yes, M-U-I is how you spell that.
Why, Mui? Okay.
Andromeda, Lilith, and Mui. It's a big deal that two human kids are in Maradonia because there's a prophecy about that. So the witches tell the ravens to keep watch while they scurry back to King Palazar. And Paris, I would like to take a moment to read that scene.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Please
now if you would like Paris, you could read this scene with me because I believe you have your Kindle nearby.
Yeah. Oh, clicking on this is causing me internal grief.
Now, we're not going to read the whole damn chapter because I think that's a little bit long.
Okay. What am I reading? What are you reading?
Okay. I can read pretty much everything except you can choose to be... I'll have you be Andromeda, the head witch. Now, here's the thing, Paris. We have to deliver this in the style of the three fairy witches from the Maradonia movie, so...
Got it.
Just put on your best fairy witch whenever you see an Andromeda line coming.
Is Andromeda the one who's mostly speaking here? Looks like.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
High above, 5 ravens broke the silence as they cried out and circled the 3 women. Andromeda looked up and waved her hand toward the sky. She was tall and regal, her face that of a stern, middle-aged woman.
Yes, my little ones. Tell me what you have seen.
She asked the birds. The largest raven swooped down to perch on Andromeda's outstretched forearm and bowed its head. Mistresses, the raven croaked, we have seen 2 children on the shore. Yes, we can see, Lilith hissed. We noticed some movement as well. What good are you as scouts if you only tell us what we already know? Mui added in her delicate, childlike pitch, we also saw that the seer's pet, that ridiculous monkey, seemed to be frolicking close by. Mui appeared to be not yet a teenager, young and innocent on the outside. On the inside, though, like her sisters, there brewed a terrible dark power and an ill temper.
What kind of children are they?
Andromeda asked.
I couldn't tell from the distance. Elfin children?
No, mistress, the raven said. They are something unusual. It is troubling us. Andromeda's eyes narrowed.
What do you mean?
The raven nodded. Human. Human? Lilith repeated icily. Mui gasped in her dainty way, but a hint of fear crossed her young face.
Oh, very interesting. And
Andromeda said, not showing any sign of emotion.
have you told anyone?
No, mistress, only you. Of course, only you. Andromeda ran her long fingers down the back of the raven. Rather than comfort the bird, her touch made the bird squint and cringe. Lilith snickered at her sister's pet.
Good. Do not speak to anyone else about what you have seen.
Andromeda instructed.
Return to these children and keep watch. Then come back and tell us more.
Yes, my lady. The raven bowed and took off into the air to join his brothers above. The 5 ravens flew away with great speed. For a long moment, the 3 sisters watched as the ravens glided through the fog and into the jungle. Human children? How could that be? Lilith whispered, just loud enough for her sisters to hear. The prophecy, Mui breathed. Andromeda raised her hand.
Indeed, this does sound like that which has been foretold. How was this unforeseen on our part when we have the ability to see everything? Perhaps these children may not be who we think they are. However, we must not take this event lightly. We must learn more.
A tiny butterfly nearby was caught in the light breeze. When Andromeda saw it, she effortlessly captured it in her bony fingers, trapping it in her palm and bringing it close to her face. While the helpless butterfly fluttered, Andromeda analyzed the insect before she spoke again.
Even if they are the fulfillment of the prophecy, they have many challenges to face. Remember, they are mere human, mortal children, incredibly vulnerable.
Louis turned to her older sister. But if they are the ones of which the prophecy speaks, we cannot allow them to fulfill their destiny. This is the wrong time for humans to mingle with our plans. King Palazar is already preparing to go to war with the guardians of the portal. We must tell him of these children before they can interfere in any way, Lilith said.
You are right, dear sister.
Andromeda said in her low, even tone.
We cannot underestimate these intruders. However, there is no doubt that our king will surely win the battle.
Do you see what I see? Lilith hissed as her body moved in a subtle slither. Her skin glistened in the moonlight.
Is she a snake? What the fuck?
The 7 kingdoms shall fall into our hands, Mui responded in her childish pitch.
Let's wait and see who these children really are.
The slightest smile crossed Andromeda's face. As she closed her palm, the tiny butterfly she had held crumbled to the ground. At the same moment, a deep rumbling was heard far out on the edge of the jungle. The 3 fairies watched as a massive landslide began to fall where the entrance to the cave was located. Dust lifted high into the atmosphere, reaching for the moon as it rose into the sky. And there's a big picture of a moon over a forest. The end of the chapter.
You know, that's a pretty okay illustration. Yes, and the ravens actually were all right.
Yes, so there's still some moments of like decent illustration, but then whenever there's a human-ish figure, or humanoid figure, I should say, it's pretty bad. Anyway, back to the summary.
Gotta watch those hands and feet. Hard things to draw.
Yes. Anyway, Maya and Joey are chasing the monkey until they run into Oraculus, who's the owner of the monkey, apparently named Bubba. He tells Maya and Joey about the prophecy about 2 children who will unite Maradonia against the evil principalities and also be called the Encouragers. We didn't drop the Encouragers thing. In all the redoing, we decided to keep that in. Maradonia is also apparently on an island called Husario. Although if it's got 7 kingdoms on it, that's kind of a big island.
Well, isn't it like a different dimension thing? So it's like located on that island, but in a different.
I don't know. I can't tell.
All right, great. Really good world building. If we can't tell.
Anyway, cut back to the B plot where Dr. Huang and Admiral Wells meet up with Ilona Wells, the Admiral's daughter, and Professor Octavius Mundi of Oxford, England. Ilona's intro is her being a sexy fight lady doing practice fights on the fucking tarmac of the meeting point, which is just like some hangar somewhere. And the professor is a professor of paranormal sciences and fantasy literature. What a combo.
Hey.
They're all going on the mission to check out the portal in the ocean and meet up with Gordon. Meanwhile, back in Maradonia, we find out that Maradonia is like the gateway world to an even bigger portal that is the portal to the universe, and that Maya and Joey have to help mermaids defend the portal from King Palazar and his minions, and in return they will be granted a way home.
All right, I have a lot of questions.
Okay, hit me.
But I just want to
probably
first
won't be able to
point
answer
out,
anything.
all right, those of you who many of you probably already realized this, but Octavius Mundi is bad Latin for like 8 worlds. So the 7 lands of Maradonia and our reality.
Yeah, he's the professor.
Setting. Why are the mermaids defending the portal from King Palazar? Like, why are they enemies? Do we ever find out why the mermaids are not cool with the king?
So the mermaid's life force is linked to the portal somewhat, and like a couple of other things at the same time. So they are the defenders of the portal. And King Palazar wants to like use the portal to invade all the other kingdoms and take over the universe, essentially.
But if the portal is being used, it's not being destroyed, why would that affect the mermaids being alive?
Well, they don't want to let the evil people take over the universe. So that's really it. That's the motivation.
All right. Fine.
Anyway, Maya's like, let's just believe this guy. And Joey's like, that sounds stupid, but okay. And they set off north because Oraculus told them to follow a river until they find a lagoon. But alas, they are beset upon by Munasa, a giant snake who can talk, that says, you guys can't pass through here. This is my territory. But a bird named Libertine shows up and tells Maya and Joey they should be wary of Munasa, which is correct because the snake lunges at them. Joey decapitates Munasa with a machete that he had for some reason. Maya
I was going to say, when did he get a sword? But okay, maybe one of his knives
guess when
was
he
a
said
machete.
knives, he meant machete. So
yeah, wow. All right.
Maya is kind of upset at having witnessed this and also realizes how stupid the story they are in is. Libertine fucks off and the two move on. There's literally like a sequence where Maya is like, we just got attacked by a giant snake and you decapitated it, and there was like a talking man with a monkey that told us that we're the encouragers. This is really stupid, but that's all that happens with that.
That's pretty funny.
Okay, now we're with King Palazar, who's having an evil meeting in an evil skull-shaped castle in the side of the mountain.
Oh, yeah, Castle Grayskull.
Yep.
Just always coming back.
The fairy witches are here. So are the titans and dwarves and ogres and all that fun shit. He's not worried about Maya and Joey because they're just kids, and the titans are a little upset they're not being guaranteed control of the portal once they defeat the Mermaid Queen. Palazar roasts one of them with a fireball for being uppity about it.
Hey.
Okay, back with Dr. Huang, Alona, and the professor. They link up with Gordon. The professor reveals that a contact in Beijing has tipped them off that the Chinese have successfully transferred data with a quantum entangled quantum entangled photon. And that's a big deal. So that's a big deal, and they got to get their hands on this portal now to get ahead of the Chinese quantum computing.
Okay.
Alona is just like throwing a knife around the whole time and being all femme fatale. That's the
Such an unnecessary character. Okay.
Okay, query for you, Paris. Whose side are you on right now? Are you on Maya and Joey's side, the B-plot squad, Palazar and his minions, maybe the dead snake? I don't like who you're with here.
Oh no, I'm team quantum physics for sure. Like that's super interesting and cool. Like I care about that. That's a cool inclusion. If only that was the only thing we were talking about. There weren't witches.
Okay, know? so you're on B-plot squad team.
Yep. Yeah, I'm interested in successfully transferred data with a quantum entangled photon. I think that's a thing that happened this year.
Yeah, I mean that's not crazy. That I don't know if that you can transfer. I think the implication is that technically, because you can glean information from a quantumly entangled particle, that it's technically faster than light. But, like, at the same time, that's not, like, really what's happening. Because, like, the way I had it explained to me when I researched is this. Imagine you have, like, 2 balls. One is red and one is blue. You put them both in boxes. You don't know which one's in which box, and you send one box away. You open the box that you have with you, and you see it's the red ball, so you instantly know the blue ball is in the other box. That's basically what's happening with quantumly entangled particles and information transfer here. So
yeah, because I feel like I remember reading about this earlier this year. So okay, well,
so it's something. For
a phrase that makes some sense. Quantum physicists write in.
Future Chris here again to let you know that we were both wrong. Quantum entanglement cannot transmit information. Paris was also misremembering a physics news piece from June 2024 about how quantum entanglement persists between top quarks and not about data transmission. Yeah, but like I don't know why like the Portal Squad is like, oh no, the Chinese have successfully transferred data with quantumly entangled particles, and that's like
because
bad?
We can't be second to the Chinese, Chris.
Yeah, right. Like
Can't be
if
second
you're
to
just
the
a man
Chinese.
of science, wouldn't you be like, oh shit, cool, I got to read that paper or whatever?
Yeah, you would be, but if they work for the Pentagon, that's different, right?
I suppose. I don't know. I don't think the professor works for the Pentagon though. He's just like a consultant that
Oh,
got
I
like
thought he-
tagged along for this.
Well, consultant, you work for the fucking Pentagon. Anyway.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Continue.
He's on a 1099 or whatever.
Dude, the whole government is like a fucking giant 1099, endless 1099s, all contractors all the way down. Oh, anyway.
All right. Anyway, Maya and Joey get separated in a field of giant sunflowers.
What?
Maya sees a pool of
Okay.
water and goes straight for it since she's thirsty, but quickly realizes the water is weird. It's thick, murky, and oily, so she fucking touches it.
No.
The substance begins to crawl up her arm, and she somehow ends up in the water. It's a little confusing how she, like, it's like she pulled her arm back, and then all of a sudden, based on how she pulled her arm out, she ends up, like, feet first into the water, and her head
Kinda
is...
trips and slides because the force of her arm sort of. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
All right,
Thing.
thank you for explaining that to me because I was thoroughly confused when I was reading.
Yeah, because it's like she lost her balance because she flung her arm so quickly, and then she sort of slipped. Because I assume it's like muddy near the bank of the water, so that I think that works.
Well, that was not
in
described, so...
a slapstick sort of way.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? There's a lot of cartoony shit happening in this book. Like, there's a lot of moments where someone is, like, slapped with a mermaid tail and, like, literally, like, Team Rockets out into, like, the ocean or something.
All right.
That happens,
Okay.
like,
All right.
more than once. Anyway. Luckily, Libertine the dove is nearby and spots her struggling and rushes to find Joey and lead him to Maya. They pull Maya out of the pool, but she's in a weird half coma because of the substance encasing her. Maya is having visions of mermaids being washed away by a tsunami while Joey and the doves get Maya over to a waterfall to wash her off. In the B plot, meanwhile, Dr. Huang Company find the island of Husario. So they've landed at this point.
Okay.
Maya and Joey arrive at the lagoon Oraculus sent them off to and are accosted by mermaids. They're pretty aggressive until one of them, named Persolia, hears Maya's name and is like, oh, you're the ones our queen is waiting for. Wait here a minute while we go tell her. They disappear for a bit and come back with the queen, whose name is Aqua Marisha.
Wasn't that the same as the mermaid book?
Yes, Aqua Marisha and Morgana were the mermaids from the mermaid book.
Right.
She levitates above the water because mermaids can like levitate and fly.
And do the tribal drums come back too for this?
No, actually, they didn't
too
pay
bad.
the musicians enough to come all the way out to Maradonia. Like the touring budget for that is insane.
Yeah, they had to go drum for the trolls that day or something. They were booked.
We're double booked. I'm sorry. Anyway, she's levitating above the water and is like, "It was I who called you from the ocean. Also, this is my daughter Morgana." Morgana and Joey are all making eyes at each other the whole time. Aqua Marisha gives Joey and Maya special water-breathing shells and tells them
I remember that.
Yep, and tells them to follow her to the city of Awanada by grabbing hold of
same
these
city.
dolphins and putting the water-breathing shells up to their mouths. Morgana tells Joey to grab onto her instead.
Oh, okay.
They are taken to Awanada, but not before Maya spots the wreck of the ship they were on amongst other sunken ships near the city. The B-plot squad have landed on the island and make camp. They see some strange combo rhinoceros/elephant/dinosaur creatures, and Gordon is like, I call them Dinophants. And Alona's like, wow, that's so smart. Gordon is like, yeah, I'm smart as fuck. I had some students on the boat that were kind of dumb, and one of them had a crush on me, by the way. What if we capitalized on our discoveries here? Alona is feeling herself fall for Gordon because he's the guy that can come up with a name like Dinophant.
I just, like, that's like something, okay, I imagine if you're in kindergarten and you're like, oh my God, this kid just came up with the word Dynafance. Like, I am in love with him. Like, okay, I want to color with him every day. Like, that is the level, like, kindergarten love is what we're talking about. Like, these are supposed to be adults, right? Like,
yes.
People who are
fully grown, femme fatale, ass-kicking lady who's like, man, he came up with the word Dynafin. I'm a little wet right now.
Not from the ocean. All right.
That love falters a little bit when the Dynafants attack the camp and Gordon freezes while the Navy SEAL team and Alona shoot the Dynafants in the knees, which causes them to like stampede around the camp instead of into it.
Wait,
it's like they pivot, you know, like you shoot, you know when you get shot in the knees, Paris, and you turn
and your knees bend backwards and you actually go the opposite direction. Yeah, it's really good.
Well, that's how the Dynafants work, okay?
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right.
Maya and Joey have a meeting with Aqua Marisha and the other mermaids, but Joey is told to fuck off because menfolk can't be trusted. That's why there's no mermen around. They were banished to some caves.
I mean, they're not
when
wrong.
The mermaids wrested control from the mermen after centuries of being their concubines.
Okay, I'm kind of on the mermaid side now. It sounds kind of cool. They sound sort of brutal.
So, okay,
awesome.
fuck the B-plot squad. We're on the mermaid side
No. I can be B-plot and mermaid.
Okay,
both squads. They're not against each other, right? So
not yet. Since mermen are lazy, they're like, yeah, that's fine. We'll just chill in the cave and trade with you sometimes. Whatever, man.
Okay.
Maya confronts Aqua Marisha about sinking human ships, to which Aqua Marisha says, yeah, we have to do that to protect ourselves. You don't understand. Maya is
humans suck,
conflicted,
dude.
but thinks to herself, and I don't know what it's like being a mermaid, so she decides to help the mermaids protect their portal from King Palazar anyway. Okay, I will say, Paris, that this is like the one moment of depth that any character has in the entire book. There's like a chapter where Maya is struggling with like, I'm supposed to help these mermaids like defend a portal, but they've like murdered a lot of humans. They've killed a lot of humans that have come near the island. That kind of makes me feel a little conflicted. But then she's like, you know what? Whatever. I don't know what being a mermaid's like. I'm just going to help anyway. It's those leadership courses that Joey took.
Some development.
Yeah, I want to give a little bit of credit there.
Okay.
Anyway, Aqua Marisha begins to take Maya to the portal, explaining that somehow the health of the mermaid people is tied to the power of the portal, which sits inside a crystal cathedral that gives off power, as well as an emerald necklace that Aqua Marisha wears around her neck. So all this shit is tied together.
Okay, sure.
They've all been weakened as of late, and the 7 kingdoms of Maradonia have been cut off from each other. The mermaids and Maya spot a helicopter in the sky, and when Maya explains...
Wait, there's a helicopter in Maradonia?
No, it's the B-plot squad. Like, they've landed on the island, and they've got a helicopter on their thing. So, after Maya explains what a helicopter is, Aqua Marisha has everyone turn back to Awanada, since this is the day she has been worried about for so long. The day when humans discover Maradonia. Except Maya and Joey don't count for what... I don't know.
Wait a second. So, wait, but I thought Maradonia was, like, in a different dimension.
Yes, that's my question as well. No, the island of Husario is also Maradonia, but so is the other kingdoms that are separated by portal.
All right.
It is like a diaspora kind of thing that's like geographically separated, but it's all one nation.
Okay. All right.
I think.
It's fine. It's fine. All right.
All right, turns out it wasn't human forces the mermaids have to worry about, since Palazar's army, led by his son Abaddon, are at the entrance to a channel that leads to Awanada. So there's like a land formation that's like sort of a semicircle with like a little bottlenecky channel that's like above Awanada. Okay. Who do you think is going to win, and what's your battle strategy here, Paris, if you're the mermaids?
All right. I definitely feel like the mermaids are better at this stuff. They already kicked out the dudes, right? They've defended the portal for how knows long, whoever, I don't know how long. So I'm putting my money on the mermaids. And what's their strategy? I mean, in that situation, they're actually in a pretty good position because they're fighting against people who can't breathe water.
Yes.
So all they have to do is defend this inlet, which is a much smaller area.
Yep.
So yeah.
Abaddon here is basically employing like the worst idea on how to fight mermaids. He's naturally bottlenecking himself. He's on ships in water when he can't be in the water because he can't breathe. So I don't know. Doesn't seem like a winning strategy to me.
Nope.
All right. So this channel is like a natural bottleneck, like I said, that the mermaids can use to defend. But Abaddon is like, that's okay. I have enough soldiers that I can simply overwhelm them. And since the mermaids have to pop out of the water to fire upon me, the soldiers on the ship's decks will have crossbows to shoot the mermaids with.
Wait, what are the mermaids firing with?
Like their own bows that shoot like energy arrows.
Okay, that's a change.
Yep.
All right.
They also have like spears and harpoons and swords and shit.
Oh, okay, that makes swords?
Yes. Yep. But that's not Abaddon's only move. He also has prepared depth charges to kill any mermaids attacking from below, which is what you should probably expect mermaids to do.
Yeah.
And they do that by just pushing giant corkscrews into the ships to make them sink.
Right.
It's literally called like the corkscrew squad or whatever. If that doesn't seem cartoony enough, the depth charges are actually lit and then hammered shut and thrown overboard. So like all these depth charges are just like open barrels of gunpowder. The people light the wick and then cover it and hammer it shut and then throw the depth charge overboard. Which I don't think is the right.
You're gonna have a smooth operation for that.
Yeah. I don't think that's right. I think you should have it pre-hammered and shut. Like, what if the wick gets caught under the cover or whatever? I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Maya and Joey are on like a ledge somewhere just watching all this with Aquamarisha and Morgana.
Great. Just not helping at all.
They're encouraging or whatever, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
a bunch of dead mermaids float to the surface, and Maya and Joey and Aquamarisha are all sad about it. Abaddon is about to personally crossbow one of these mermaids that's still alive, but he's like, actually, she's kind of hot. Let's capture her. The remaining mermaids are crying about their dead friends to the point where Abaddon's forces become silent. I'm going to read this paragraph for you, Paris, because
mer-wailing.
Yeah, boy, let me tell you, this was a confusing moment for me to read. Okay. A single tear trailed down Aquamarisha's face. Maya and Joey both looked out to see what had to be more than half of the mermaid warriors floating lifelessly on the surface of the lagoon. Then, one by one, sinking. Startled, surviving mermaids rose to the surface, realizing what was happening. Some shook their motionless friends, others began to weep. Aquamarisha wailed. It was a long, harsh sound of pure pain and fury. Every surviving mermaid turned to the cliff, then answered the wail with their own. The shrill sound of mourning filled the air, bouncing off the steep sides of the channel. Even Abaddon's evil forces were shocked into silence. All eyes turned to Aquamarisha on her ledge. The queen raised herself to full height. Awanada, she whispered to herself. Awanada, Morgana repeated louder. Awanada, Maya and Joey called out even louder. Then the queen was screaming it, the battle cry. Awanada! Awanada! Mermaids across the lagoon were inspired and enraged. Against all odds, the mermaids were fighting for their home, for their very survival. Mermaid warriors returned their queen's call with one tremendous voice. Awanada!
That's the shittiest haka I've ever heard.
That's a little silly that like the whole attacking army is like, we're gonna let them have it, let them cook. I want to see what's going on here.
I mean, but Chris, like this is stupid. But think about what happened with the marathon bombing. People were like, Boston sports, Boston sports.
Okay, but not like as the bombs were going off, right? Like no one stood and waited like Boston strong. As shit was going off. It's like it's the middle of the turmoil here.
Yeah, the timing is off. Strange.
Okay. Anyway, the Queen, Morgana, Maya, and Joey all start chanting Awanada, as we saw right there. Libertine the Dove flies in, is like, hey, that one ship that's lower in the water is filled with barrels even bigger than the depth charges. Aquamarisha, Morgana, and Joey dive into the water from the ledge. Morgana and Joey start helping mermaids corkscrew the ship filled with huge barrels. It is revealed that Abaddon's plan is to sail the ship full of huge barrels above Awanada, sink it, and then detonate them to effectively level the city and kill all the mermaids.
How is he planning to detonate it after it had sunk?
Well, you light it's like the same thing with the depth charges. You light it and it's just like it can stay lit underwater for reasons. And
I'm wondering how they have this.
It's a timed wick,
technology.
and you just hope that you've got the timing right, I suppose.
Well, I guess if you I actually don't know how this works. I know that explosions can happen underwater, but we're not talking about like modern technology. So I don't know. If anyone knows anything about this, please write in and tell us how this could work, but I'm a little skeptical.
Anyway, Abaddon's fighting some mermaids who are attacking his command ship and manages to harpoon Persolia and drag her onto the ship. But she has a grenade on her that she pulls the pin on when she's close to Abaddon, who also happens to be standing next to a bunch of depth charges. He pulls a commanding officer in front of him, and that's apparently enough to protect him as he's launched cartoonishly into the sail of the big bomb ship and flops onto the deck. He's standing on the big bomb ship trying to direct it through the channel, but oh no, it's listing to the side. Turns out Joey had the brilliant idea to have a bunch of mermaids push the ship to the side instead of corkscrewing it so it won't reach Awanada. Joey and the mermaids are successful at turning the ship away, and Aquamarisha tail slaps Abaddon off the bomb ship into the ocean. She gives the command to kill the rest of the evil army now that most of the ships are sinking. The mermaids are victorious, but Maya on her ledge feels bad about all the no-mercy murder approach Aquamarisha has on the surviving members of Palazar's army. Palazar receives word of the battle's outcome from the fairy witch's ravens and demands that the remainder of his forces muster to attack the mermaids again because his fail son just can't be trusted to win a simple fucking naval battle against mermaids. Okay. After the battle, there's a little grieving ceremony where the mermaids cry bubbles and have a big feast.
Okay.
Morgana takes Joey to her little mermaid treasure trove full of literal treasure chests bursting with gold that's situated in like a little air pocket. Morgana asks Joey if he's happy here, and he says, yeah, this is rad. But Morgana steals his breathing shell and leaves him there. She comes back a few times and tries feeding Joey some strange root, and Joey starts thinking, hey, maybe this mermaid lady doesn't have my best interests in mind. Maya finds out from an apothecary mermaid that Morgana has been buying up all the Kayatonga root, which is a root that, when eaten, turns humans into mermaids after a very painful process.
Okay, that's all right, sure. Mm-hmm.
Maya realizes what Morgana is up to, finds her dolphin buddy who seems to know where Morgana's secret cave is, and she arrives just in time to watch Joey swallow the Kayatonga root that Morgana gave him.
Oh no!
However, the beginning of the next chapter reveals that you have to eat it for 3 days for it to fully take effect, and Joey wants to keep Morgana's deeds on the down low from Aquamarisha, so he's like, it's fine, whatever, man.
How does he know it only takes 3 days?
They asked the apothecary mermaid after, and the apothecary mermaid was like, I forgot to tell you that it's actually a 3-day long process. I'm sorry if I startled you. Maya and Joey now think that the human helicopter they saw was a search party sent out for them, but also think they have to help the mermaids figure out the portal situation so they don't all die out. They are taken to the Crystal Cathedral where the portal resides. The portal is a stone arch with markings in a room full of carvings on the walls. The markings on the portal are 7 notches, and carvings depict things like fish, seaweed, and mermaids. Maya notices...
It's just Stargate Atlantis, isn't this?
Yes.
Stargate Atlantis, okay.
Maya notices that the markings and the fact that all of the carvings are pictured moving left to right. So she asks for the Queen's Emerald and swims around the portal from left to right, then places the emerald in a perfectly shaped notch for the emerald at the top of the portal above all the notches. The portal comes to life, and Maya deduces that since there's 7 kingdoms and 7 notches, you just have to swim around the portal from left to right as many times as you need to match the notch number that matches the other kingdom you want to go to.
Wait, okay, hold on. Why does she need to figure this out? Haven't the mermaids been guarding this portal for their entire existence? Don't they know how it works?
No,
Couldn't
they don't.
Have just said,
no, they don't. They don't know how it works. It took Maya looking at the carvings and going, oh, that's all left to right. What if I swim around the portal from left to right?
But how are they left to right? They're not words. Like, I don't understand.
It's like the seaweed is like depicted flowing from left to right, and like
it's seaweed. How do you
like it's
tell, like a
bent
picture?
left to right, you know, like I don't know.
And what, the mermaids are like pointing like with their tail and
yeah,
fingers,
I don't know.
like,
That's what the
way?
book says. They're all depicted swimming left to right. So use your imagination.
It just does not make any sense that.
It's very funny that it took Maya, like a 14-year-old girl or whatever, to be like, "Hey, everything's going left to right, guys. Did you try this?" And they're like, "Oh, fuck, oh shit, no, we didn't." So Maya and Joey pop in to head to the land of Gorgonia to convince the giants to unite with the mermaids in order to defeat Palazar.
Oh, so that's where Gorgonzola comes from.
Yep.
Giants.
From
Gorgonia.
giants. It's
right.
giant foot cheese, actually, is what you're eating.
Yeah, I believe that.
The B-plot squad has found the lagoon where Maya and Joey first encountered mermaids. When the mermaids confront them, the Navy SEAL squad leader, Lieutenant Krieger, orders his squad to shoot them, and they do.
Okay.
Ilona, Mundi, and Dr. Huang are torn up by this, but Krieger is like, "I'm the guy with the gun, so you listen to me now." Ilona and Gordon have been making out a lot, and she's down to capitalize on the portal with him. Also, in another scene, Abaddon isn't dead and has escaped along with his mermaid captive on a ship that limped away from the battle. Andromeda shows up and is like, "Hey, your dad's going to kill you about this, but if you agree to marry me so I'm the queen once you take over, I'll convince him not to.
Okay.
We can use that mermaid you captured to figure out what's up with the portal or whatever," even though the mermaids don't fucking know how to work it either.
Yeah,
So bad
but, you
plan.
know, I would assume they would know too. So.
It's a reasonable plan on his face, but it turns out it's not at all. Abaddon agrees to all this. When they get back to Palazar, he's a little miffed at first, but gets on board pretty quick with the marriage arrangement because he's like, "You know what? I need some heirs. Whatever. Fine." They all march off with the rest of the army to attack Awanada again. Maya and Joey encounter a dragon once they pop through the portal to Gorgonia.
All right.
Turns out dragons can talk, and they are the giants' guardians. Maya proves to the dragon they're not spies for Palazar by producing a piece of the Crystal Cathedral.
That she was just like shipped off.
Yes.
Like when she was there.
She's there on the way out, just like,
Okay.
"That's pretty cool." The dragon named Umrath takes them to the giant's castle, where their king Neolith is on his deathbed. The Princess Brunhilde is set to take over, and the giants are having a feast to mourn the king and celebrate Brunhilde's ascendance. The advisor to the king, Cephace, is jealous and power-seeking himself, so he tries to poison Brunhilde. But the plot is easily found out by Maya and Joey, and they pull the "why don't you eat the food you're presenting" trick. He does and fucking dies, so Maya and Joey are saviors of the princess.
All
The
right.
giants and dragons agree to help out with the mermaids. Maya and Joey are given dragon-scale armor, and they rush off back to the portal with only the dragons for reasons, because the giants are all like, "Hey, we've got to do this whole succession thing. Just get the dragans out over there. They're better anyway at this whole
I
fighting
can't
thing."
believe the story is still going on. Why do we have like a C and D plot? Like, just
Don't worry, we're almost done.
thank God.
When they get back, they find that Palazar's army is now on the shores of the lake that houses the Crystal Cathedral, so I don't know why Abaddon had to go through the channel. The fairy witches use magic to start draining the lake by creating water spouts, while Palazar's 30,000 soldiers just stab at mermaids and launch depth charges. The B-plot squad has finally stumbled in and are just kind of randomly fighting peripheral squads of Palazar's army. The dragons pop out of a cave they've been hiding in to roast Palazar's army, but there's just too many of them, even when the lazy mermen show up to help fight. They just needed some encouraging, you see.
Yes, from the encouragers, Maya and Joey.
Not even from the encouragers, it's just that Aquamarisha went over and was like, "Hey, we could actually use you guys' help." That's it. The Crystal Cathedral has been revealed by the lake draining, and Palazar cuts through his own army's lines to approach it.
That's a pretty shallow lake if they were able to drain it that quickly to reveal
Yep.
the cathedral, but all right.
Aquamarisha confronts Palazar and they fight a bit, but she takes a harsh blow. Maya steps in to say, "Stop it," but Palazar backhands her, and Joey steps in to say, "Hey, cut that out," and Palazar is like, "Lol, why don't you encourage the mermaids to surrender, pussy?" Aquamarisha tells Maya and Joey to back off. He didn't say that. That's me ad-libbing a little bit. Aquamarisha tells Maya and Joey to back off since the confrontation is between her and Palazar. They do, Aquamarisha grabs her emerald and uses it to summon a massive fucking tsunami that washes away everything, including Palazar, his army, and a lot of the mermaids and mermen. Maya and Joey are grabbed by Umrath and flown away. Abaddon and Andromeda were kind of far away, so they're cool too. Andromeda tells the survivors to flee, and they all run away. After the battle, Aquamarisha is near death for some reason, even though the rest of the mermaids are mostly fine after the tsunami since they're A-okay in water.
Well, she took a heavy blow from Palazar, right? So we're just to
Sure.
presume that it was maybe heavier than we thought.
Yeah. The apothecary mermaid is like, it's cool, we just have to use the power of the portal. So they get Aquamarisha over to the Crystal Cathedral. And
It's also a healing?
Yes. And the apothecarist
Okay.
touches the crystal and breathes on Aquamarisha to revive her.
Right.
However, the B-plot squad shows up, and Lieutenant Krieger is like, the portal is ours! Maya realizes the portal can't fall into the hands of Krieger and Gordon, so she non-verbally communicates to Joey and Aquamarisha that she's going to take the emerald and destroy it so the portal blows up and takes out everyone with it.
How does this nonverbal communication work? Is she like using hand signals?
She just
Eyebrow
looks.
raisers?
She just looks at Joey, and she's
Okay.
like, "There's a mutual understanding."
Okay. All
They
right.
act like they're going to show Krieger how to work the portal with the emerald, and just before Joey smashes it, Oraculus pops out of the portal in a flash of light and is like, Maya and Joey, by being willing to sacrifice yourself, you have shown the true leadership skills.
Wait,
Thank
when
you
were
for
they going to
attending my
sacrifice
leadership."
themselves?
Because when they were going to destroy the emerald and blow up the portal, they were going to get all blown up by like the energy that was released.
Shit, really?
That this
okay.
whole plot is like, okay, we smash the emerald, everything
Realize that.
blows up, and no one gets the portal, so it can't be used for evil. But Oraculus
All right,
shows up and
okay.
is like, hey, you've shown that you studied for your leadership test. This was all your leadership course. He doesn't really say that, but he's really like, you've shown true leadership skills.
Okay.
Krieger was temporarily blinded by the portal light, but no one else because it was the light of truth.
Okay.
So Bubba the monkey takes his gun away. Gordon tries to take Alona's gun and fire it at Oraculus, but the bullet is stopped midair and Oraculus magically bitch slaps Gordon out the cathedral and into the forest miles away.
What? Okay.
Alona convinces Krieger and the Navy SEAL team to fuck off from Maradonia, and Maya and Joey are gifted the Gauntlets of Maradon, which have a slot for a gem associated with each of the 7 kingdoms. They have
It's just
two
the
for the mermaid.
glove from...
It's the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
They have
it's
2
the
gems
Infinity
now
Gauntlet, yeah.
because they saved 2 of the kingdoms and are asked to encourage the rest of the kingdoms to unite against the forces of evil. Gordon survived his cartoon magic bitch slap into the forest and encounters Palazar there, who is like, you are my new son because Abaddon sucks. The end! And so we come to the end of Maradonia and the Guardians of the Portal, Paris. How are you feeling?
Okay. I'm mad that quantum physics didn't actually there was one sentence. And we're just supposed to be like, yeah, the portal is quantum physics. But there's no attempt to really work that in.
Nope.
A little disappointing.
Nope, not at all.
0%.
She just said quantum physics is portals. The end.
That was bad. All right. Thanks, Chris,
she just rebooted it and threw a bunch of the stuff that she was already using anyway into it, and it's okay. Here's where we get into the rubric, Paris. Let's start with technical construction.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really catch any typos. The formatting is a little strange, only in that the illustrations pop up semi-randomly. This is sort of under Terriblo's presence as well, but
I've always been that way.
there's at one point there's just a picture of gold ingots, I'm assuming. But there's no mention of any gold or ingots or riches. It's not even in the treasure cave scene with Joey and Morgana. It's just it there randomly. It's they feel like they felt like they had to throw an illustration in, and they're like, I don't know, we got the ingots one. So some of the illustrations kind of throw off some of the formatting, I think, a little bit. But other than that, I don't actually have much beef with the technical construction.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've paged through and looked at the illustrations, and they're actually pretty stylistically consistent.
Yeah.
Which is an improvement over the past, because before they were sort of all over the place with style and composition, but these are like they're pretty similar. They're not amazing, but I would argue these are the best illustrations we've seen so far.
Yes.
For this property.
Yes.
And they also suit the flavor of the text, let's say. They're kind of appropriately like, they're like done well enough, but they're still sort of in like a cartoonish fantasy, style. I don't know. I think they're really effective, actually. I'm like, I just got to page.
Agree.
I got to the drawing of the council. There's like a snake woman and like a demon and an alien. Those look kind of shitty,
anytime there's like a humanoid-ish thing, it falls apart. But like environments and landscapes and objects aren't bad.
Yeah. Although, I mean, you do have to remember that like an adult, actually at this point, I guess I don't know how old Gloria's mom is, but her mom is the one who does the illustrations.
Yes.
So it's a little confusing because I would kind of expect a better level of skill from someone that age, but also like I'm sure she's probably not doing this full time. Anyway, I would say this is the best art that we've seen so far.
I even like the cover of the book, actually.
Oh so the cover, I would say it's like basic but effective, and it's not hand drawn, which was always the pitfall of the past ones. It's
basically just like a mermaid tale amidst some like coral and undersea plant life and things like that. And it's got some nice colors
probably
happening.
AI generated. Let's be real.
Yeah. So I'd be like, hey, I'm trying to like lend any sort of grace that I can here. So all that is to say, I'm gonna give technical construction a 1 here because it's all fine. Yeah. So there you go. 1 point right off the bat. But now we're moving into plot construction and general content layout here. And boy, oh boy, as far as general coherence here, man. So like, we have to unite the 7 kingdoms against Palazar, who exists on the same island as the Mermaid Kingdom, and the 7 other kingdoms are in like different dimensions or like portal dimensions away or something.
Yeah, your retelling definitely made me feel like this was not clear in the text, and that it was very confusing as to how any of that was connected or not connected, or like where the island of Husario and the different dimensions, like where the border was between, I don't know.
So as far as I can tell, strange. The mermaids and Palazar are on Husario, which is part of the general Maradonia, I think. And then like Gorgonia and whatever other kingdoms there are that are never mentioned are like through portals, and that's not Maradonia. Or maybe it is. It's like under the umbrella of the 7 kingdoms. I'm very unsure what's the hierarchy of state here. Like, is there a federal body of Maradonia? And like the Mermaid Kingdom is one I have no idea what's going on.
I think that's what it is. I think you're right. I think it's like Maradonia is the, let's say, the overarching landmass or governmental structure, whatever, and then the it's like Westeros, right? Westeros is the 7 kingdoms.
Sure, but that's all like a contiguous landmass. is the thing there.
Well, no, because Pike is off, on its own. And
okay.
Dorne it's connected, but kind of got some desert in between. There's some stuff going on.
I just gotta wonder how well you can like be a federal body when like you're connected by portals. Does that make it easier or harder?
You can ask, America or the United Kingdom about that, because they had colonies all over the world.
You know what? It's possible, I suppose.
Possible for a time, but it kind of doesn't go well long term.
Yeah.
So,
also, like, the mermaids need Maya and Joey to just be like, hey, have you tried this extremely obvious thing? Like a bunch of times, not even just the portal thing, but like the thing with like just like, hey, just push the ship to the side. Like none of the seasoned warriors were like, what if we just pushed the ship aside so it can't go through the channel? It had to take Joey saying that.
There is something to be said for, weirdly, I was just coincidentally, I was listening to a podcast recently about studies that have been done on creativity and how there actually is a lot of value in having groups of people that actually have dissimilar backgrounds and maybe bringing someone into a problem who has no background in that particular problem to see a side of something that may be obscured by the experts, right? So
I can agree with that for sure. However,
right. But
pushing a ship aside, I don't think it's like, a really off the wall angle that anyone else would have been like, there's a ship that's going to enter the channel. We can't let it enter the channel. What if we just pushed it?
Yeah, I think this is a very different situation where, I don't see how 14, 15-year-old children could give you advice for like maritime battle, like mixed media, mixed territory, maritime. And,
I guess if the advice is what if you pushed the ship, that's like, a fairly obvious approach to be taking. But like at the same time, once again, I don't think you need the encouragers here for that little bit of wisdom.
Yeah, and like, if we establish that there's some reason for them to have a different and effective insight, I'd be more interested, but I don't know. I don't buy. I find it very difficult to buy these ideas that these two kids are like, hey, mermaids, this portal you've had for eons, like, did you never notice that everything is like listing to the left in the pictograms? And it's like, okay. I don't know.
I don't know, man. But like, also the mermaids are like scared of humans finding them, but if it's specifically two kids in a prophecy, that's cool.
Because it's a prophecy. Like, I understand that. They're like, all right, they're telling us these two human children. But then it's like, how would you know what are the other elements of the prophecy? Because
it's just two kids that encourage. I don't know, man. Seems loose.
It could be any kids.
And then like Maya and Joey seem to have these unreal uniting powers simply because there's a prophecy about two children uniting people. So just kind of like circular logic happening there, which is part of a whole prophecy thing. If you it's self-fulfilling in a way because of that.
Right.
Like, I guess we'll follow those two kids because there's a prophecy about two kids. Maybe I should set up, there's a prophecy that I'm going to be the greatest musician that ever lived. It's going to be a bald guy named Chris who is a little bit blind. He's going to be the greatest musician ever. There's a prophecy about it. You guys just got to listen to him. Just like send those Spotify streams.
This is just the whole like belief church stuff, right? Like you just tell yourself enough that you're going to be awesome, then you will be. This is the whole Trump like ideology.
Okay. Fair enough.
Works for some people.
It's not that coherent, I would say. Rules following. I mean, for me, the biggest thing
sounds
was like
bad. Sounds like rules don't exist. Yeah.
Like the cartoony shit with people being team rocketed into the distance but surviving multiple times. Like there's no fall damage in Maradonia, apparently.
They've all got the cat ring on, Chris.
Yeah.
They've all got that cat ring.
And like Awanada is like on Husario, which is Maradonia, but like not Maradonia completely because the Seven Kingdoms are separated. But that whole thing is just very like loose and confusing to me. There's not even any rules. Okay. As for character quality, I did mention before, Maya has that brief moment of depth when she's torn about supporting human murdering mermaids, but gets over it real fucking quick. That's it. Everything else is just like paper thin characters, honestly. Like no one has any. Ilona is just femme fatale. Joey is just like sort of a boneheaded boy that's just like charging forward all the time. The evil people are just evil for the sake of being evil, period. So there's nothing there, man. So I'm comfortable giving plot construction and content layout a -1. Okay, moment to moment, we read some dialogue. We read some prose. We had that prologue. Listen, man, it's still the same. There was like a little bit like of hope when I read that prologue. She was like slightly more descriptive than usual.
I was gonna say that I thought the writing was a little better than the last time we had encountered the Sofia Nova Teshiverse. It did seem a little improved.
I will say that like the prologue was probably the best example of that, and we see like small glimmers of that elsewhere. But like we read the fairy witches section, I read a little bit of the battle there, and most of that is your standard fair Maradonia level writing here. So I want to give a little credit in that there was a little bit of improvement on the outset. So it's like it's possible, but like still.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem is just conceptually. This is perhaps the biggest and deepest fantasy kitchen sink we've ever seen, where it's just got everything's in there. There's no real reason for any of this to be combined. We're just like, well, I'm going to pull from Maradonia and pull from the Mermaid book, and it's all going to be together now. And I don't understand the need to have all of these different things in one book. Yeah.
I agree.
Very confusing.
I don't know, man. And as far as like dialogue goes, I mean, you read the dialogue. There's like the Awanada chanting scene. There's the fairy witch scene. It's Maradonia. Everything feels like it's a Tim and Eric sketch making fun of cliched movies and bad acting.
It really does. And again, listeners, please, if you are... Actually, I forget. Did we make Maradonia pub? No, I think you have to be at least a $5 patron to access it. It's worth giving us $5 one time just to access it for a month to watch us watch this film. And the film is in there too, which is rare for us, but we were able to find it. And so it's there. Watch it. You'll see what we mean. It does look and sound like a Tim and Eric sketch.
So on moment to moment, I don't know. It's kind of easy to say -1, but I almost want to give it a 0 for like being a little better, but I'm not sure, honestly, Paris. Based on what you heard and saw here, what do you think?
It did seem a little more cleaned up, but
it's so here's the thing. Here's what I want to say. Here's what I want to say. Maybe if you turn this into like baby's first fantasy series, like it's for young kids. I
think that's what it was supposed to be, right? Originally?
I don't know. Who's to say on that front? But like, I mean, you have some like YA stuff happening in here with like Alona and Gordon always making out and like the love thing between Joey and the mermaid, which you can do with some younger audiences. So like there's some gray area, but like the straight up making out and like Alona being like sexy all the time. She's like described as being in like a leather cat suit and shit like that, you know? So
of course, yeah.
That kind of stuff pulls me a little bit out of the children's novel thing. So I do still want to give it a -1, man. Like, it's not horrendously horrendous as some of the previous Maradonia was and some of the other stuff, but it's just not doing what it wants to do, I think. Okay, Terriblo's presence. Chaos levels are high here. Yeah. It's like, I'm like, whenever I was reading a lot of things that described where things were like fight scenes, I'm always confused as to who is where. And like, especially with like the whole channel above Awanada and then like King Palazar's forces are just like on a shore above the Crystal Cathedral. I get that the Crystal Cathedral and Awanada are physically separated, but like, why is there like only a channel to Awanada if it's like the portal that Palazar wants? Why didn't they just go there in the first place? Why does Abaddon have to go after Awanada first? Just go for the portal. Unless the plan was like, let's murder all the mermaids and then we can just leisurely go to the Crystal Cathedral, even though that's linked to the mermaids. So everything is just very confusing. And then like that random gold ingot illustration that I mentioned before. So the chaos levels are high, just like the levels. And I did message you a few times, Paris, about some shit that was happening in here. So the please help is also pretty high. So this is a -1 by far. This is the most Terriblo that we can get here. Okay, finally, should this exist? Would readers of the genre enjoy this? No, it's not a good fantasy novel, man. I'm sorry. Like, there's just nothing happening here that is interesting or neat. Unless you really want kitchen sink fantasy taken to an extreme with a heavy mermaid focus. Do I feel as if the author's goal was met? No. I still, like, I don't know, man. Like, as a reboot, you could have done so much more to change things around. And that's, like, why bother at a certain point if you're not going to do that much changing around? It doesn't add anything new, interesting, or novel. It only took my time, like, the sanity of, like, being in a time loop. So it kind of took that from me. And as far as like what should someone read instead of this, I don't know, man. Like if you want like basic fantasy that like is just good for a good time, just go read a Brandon Sanderson, man. Like he's also not batting into like the high literature territory, but he'll do you fine if you just want some like vaguely anime level magic shit and some kitchen sink fantasy stuff happening. So go read a Brando instead is what I would recommend.
Wow. Well,
so that's also a -1. So scoring, technical construction 1, plot -1, moment to moment -1, Terrible's presence -1, should this exist -1. It's a -4. Paris.
ooh, all right.
A poor score, but to be expected here. Gloria, I mean, you can do better. I mean, you showed there in that prologue that there was a possibility of doing something better. Even though it was a little purple in the prologue, at least it was something. I don't know, man. Just like, I think she needs to read more. I think she needs to read. Like, if you want to do fantasy, read a bunch of fantasy novels. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she has.
I mean, we don't know. We don't know what she's read, but
True.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling.
True.
I don't get the feeling that she has.
Okay. Can we fix it? Like I said before, I think if you just hard turned into like this is child's first fantasy novel and you removed some of like the YA content, then you might be able to get away with it. That's what I would do.
My like, I think to fix this, I think she just fucking needs to let go of these properties, which like,
yeah, I agree.
I thought we were getting a change when she was like, all right, I'm going to do mermaid shit now. I was like, all right, well, that's at least not Maradonia. And now she's like, no, let's go back to Maradonia. No, you let it go. I think if she just started fresh with a completely different concept, she needs to approach it differently, new subject matter. And like you said, maybe trying to do something for younger readers. You know, remember that like Christian Animal Earth thing that we read last year? It was like 5 really, really short stories for kids.
Yeah, it was like
that,
Christian fantasy kind of things.
And it was like kind of fine for the most part. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's sort of what we should be aiming for if this is the style of writing that she is sticking to. Yeah, or just completely do something else. You know what I want? I want her to, I don't know, write like I don't know, what do I want from her? I guess I don't want anything, but if she's insisting on continuing to write, I mean, just try something else. I don't know, just divorce Maradonia. Leave it behind, Gloria.
I don't know, maybe she feels like sunk cost in this.
Yeah, and her mom is still doing all the illustrations, so maybe her mom is like, no, I will only draw Maradonia. Like, I don't know.
I won't draw anything else.
Strike.
All right, Paris, that's the beginning of season 10 here. I had a good time here.
Wow.
I think we actually cut through a lengthy summary fairly quickly here.
Yeah.
Let's thank our patrons and Ko-fi donors as usual. Thank you to our bad bookworms, Anya, Ben, Donnie, Emily, Jakob, Jared, Scott, and Will, our exacting editors, Kieran, David, D, Emmy, Funny Robot with Antennas, Greg, Harry, 7, Martin, Rupia Cutie, and the Ugly One, the Loathsome Librarians, Veronica, Yanka, Luchek, Patricia, Robin, and Julius, and our pesky publishers, Miles May, Austin, Beast with the Least, Of the Void, the Taco Eating Unicorn of the Hot Springs, and a hearty welcome to our newest member of the tier, Patrick Jackson. Thanks so much for joining the Terrible Book family.
Yay! Looking forward to read whatever horrible crap you got for us, Pat.
Yeah, we've also got some new Ko-fi donors like Mark and Tracy. Thanks for buying us a digital coffee. Of course, we must also thank our ever-faithful Kiwi Thing and Excavating Lizard, along with Martin F. Brenna and Matthew, who helped relieve us of some terrible books. If you want some terrible books we've read for the show, you can buy them over on our Ko-fi page.
Which I really need to update, because there's only like half the books that we have up there. If you're looking for a book we've read, just maybe ask us, and we probably have it under a desk in a box.
It's a real random matter whether we have a physical copy or a Kindle one, so just ask.
Yeah.
Will anyone accept the challenge to become an archivist this year? What heinous, monstrous tome will you force us to read? All right, Paris. Well, we're back at it here. We're back to Maradonia. We're back to where the fuck we were, I don't know, like 7-8 years ago? God damn it, man.
Oh, God. So 9 years now. No. Yeah, it was 10 years ago. It was almost 10 years ago. In March is the 10th 10 years.
All right. Well, time marches on, and so does Terreblo and all these bad books. So looking forward to seeing you again next time on Terrible Book Club. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Terrible Book Club. Terrible Book Club is an independent podcast produced by your hosts, Paris and Chris. Sound design and audio editing by Chris, with sound effects and music by Epidemic Sound and sometimes also Chris. Our theme song is Kiss by Yearn, which is, you guessed it, actually also Chris. You can find more of his soothing synthy sounds on Bandcamp at yearn.bandcamp.com. Do you want us to review a book of your choice on the show? Do you want access to some extra audio-visual weirdness? If so, become a patron at patreon.com/terriblebookclub. If you'd like to send us a one-time tip instead, you can do that at ko-fi.com/terriblebookclub. You can also support TBC for free by sharing the show on social media, following our accounts on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or Goodreads, telling your friends about your favorite episode, or by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or anywhere else on the internet. To send us book recommendations or your adorable pet photos, send an email to terriblebookclub@gmail.com.